It is not those who say to me, Lord, Lord, who will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the person who does the will of my Father in heaven. When the day comes, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, work many miracles in your name? Then I shall say to them, to their faces, I have never known you. Away from me, you evil men. Therefore, everyone who listens to these words of mine and acts on them will be like a sensible man who built his house on rock. Rain came down, floods rose, gales blew, and hurled themselves against that house, and it did not fall. It was founded on rock. But everyone who listens to these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a stupid man who built his house on sand. Rain came down, floods rose, gales blew, and struck that house, and it fell. And what a fall it had. Yeah, so Stephanie, how did you find the reading today?
Well, when I was reflecting on that reading, I was thinking of earlier in the year when we had all this flooding and the power of water. And to me it was something about, God saying to me, if you're not careful, the things of this life and the things that you're trying to deal with can overpower you like that if you haven't built a solid foundation.
Right.
And it was a bit scary, actually.
Yes, it is. It's a very challenging reading, and I probably remember this as a child, being told this in class or something, had this read to us, and remembering being reminded that this fact that you have to, what's been said here is that your house has to be built on solid foundations, or the alternative, which is doom and gloom. And that's a very challenging thing. But I think that we, maybe need not take it quite so literally, and that maybe we could think about what God might have been wanting us to hear in these words a little more carefully. So that
what do you reckon that is?
Yeah.
For you.
Well, that's right. So it's something about what lies behind. Why would he have said this? So more about the saying, more about the process of conveying meaning to us, rather than what's said.
What it is, yeah.
Exactly. Right, Stephanie. So I think that there are things in there for us in terms of relationship with God. Possibly, maybe that's what you've referred to. That God is wanting possibly a world that is in some likeness of himself, or something like that. That we're reminded through these words of a deeper sense of the world that God is wanting to bring about. And this is not a literal kind of thing here, but more of a reminder possibly of God's power or immanence, perhaps, possibly.
Yeah, because I don't think God's out to get us, which we could read into that. I think God's out to remind us that if my life is based on the love of God and the kingdom, then I'm going to be much more able to withstand the weathering of life, the things that weather us as we go through our daily life.
Right, yes, that's a lovely metaphor, isn't it? That weathering, and the whole message of weather, and being constantly paying attention to that, which is always changing and permanently changing, but something we're always having to confront.
I guess that, like, having the foundation on rock is like having that still point in our lives, which is Jesus, or who is Jesus, where we can always go back to and stay in touch with,
of course. A very powerful reminder, isn't it? It's lovely.
And I suppose you, as a dad, having to build your family on rock, so to speak, so that when the weathering happens in the family, there's something there.
Right, yes, of course. Family life is extremely chaotic and very full on, and continuously being buffeted by all sorts of pressures and things. It's very hard to find a deeper rock or something foundational in that at all. But nonetheless, it is as a parent, you're kind of reminded to be that you've got a part to play in the upbringing and this unfoldingness of your child or something like that, and it reminds you about what your experience was as a child and being parented before, but and some things you want to repeat and others you want to set aside. So it's a very tricky thing to figure out exactly. But it is great to have a faith, and it's good to be to come back to that, because you want the best for your child. You really, every parent does.
And if you can form your child in that kind of basic tenets of faith, that will stand them later in life when they get buffeted.
Well, true. Yes, that's right. I mean, that's going on in many ways as well, that formation in faith. But certainly parents do have to stop and remind themselves about the role the deeper role that they're playing towards bringing their children to Jesus. Yeah, definitely.
And know that those of us who aren't parents, and I'm a Catholic sister, we pray for parents and we pray for families, because the family is the building block of our church, of our lives. Okay. And we've all been in families, of course. Yes. And Jesus was there, let the little children come to me. I mean, he was always there for families,
Right.
And I think that's a great thing to remember when we hear a gospel like this.
Okay.
So when you hear this on Sunday, I hope you remember that.
Thank you. Yeah. That's a great reminder. Yes, I will, of course. Definitely.
Good.